Struggle, challenge, and failure were my friend. When the end goal in sight is not the most desirable, or we think we're not going to get there, should we give up or should we continue to go? The way I manage that situation is
this is it. Gaurav Juneja, Chief Operating Officer over at Consolidated Communications and Fidium Fiber. Gaurav's playbook is all about scaling fast, staying agile, and outpacing the competition. Wait, you coached squash at Harvard.
I did.
What in the world?
It was a great experience from the perspective of coaching people. I wanted to tackle the hardest challenges, learn the most, and then last but not the least, the most important.
Whoa. What can we all learn from that?
Number one, self-awareness. I would always go back and try and perfect my craft. At a macro level, I truly believe that our fiber optics infrastructure enables the American dream. And the reason I say that is because
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Lead the Team. What do elite squash and fiber broadband have in common? Well, speed, strategy, and precision to win the game. And today's guest, Gaurav Juneja, brings that championship mindset to the telecom battlefield as Chief Operating Officer over at Consolidated Communications and Fidium Fiber, one of the top 10 fiber providers in the nation. Gaurav's playbook is all about scaling fast, staying agile, and outpacing the competition. Gaurav, welcome to Lead the Team, sir.
Thank you, Ben. Pleasure to be here.
So talk to us about your leadership journey to get here. What was it like?
It was full of struggle, failure, challenges. And the thought process was fail fast, learn quickly, have a learner's mindset. If your rate of learning is high and you're learning fast through quick failures, your rate of growth will be higher. And I truly do believe that the steeper the climb, the greater the view. The sooner you can tackle the hardest challenges, the faster you're going to grow.
Talk to me about one of those earlier ones.
When you're early in your career, you're looking at your career from a resume view, which is what have I accomplished? What is my next growth step? How am I going to be perceived if I fail? So failure is very difficult when you're early in your career. I unfortunately thought I failed early in my career because I candidly was not focused enough to know what I was doing or what I wanted to do.
Were you already on the job or were you in college or when?
I was in college, and as you mentioned, went to Trinity College by way of a scholarship, a squash scholarship. Was a 4-time Division I national champion. Got presented with an opportunity to go coach squash at Harvard University.
What was that like?
It was a great experience from the perspective of coaching people and really making sure that people can maximize their talents on the squash court. Did that for 2 years and then realized that while I enjoyed coaching, I didn't quite see a career, and then pivoted and moved over to telecom, just specifically mobility or wireless. I did that for 8 years. I took on the hardest projects for the company that I worked for. I raised my hand and said I would do it without knowing how to do it. But I wanted to do that because I wanted to tackle the hardest challenges, learn the most, and then last but not the least, I wanted to learn from great leaders. And you can only learn from great leaders if they take you under their wing, and they'll only take you under their wing if you tackle the hardest challenges.
So what is your mindset when you're in the midst of, like, you realize this thing is not going to work out?
Number one is stay calm in the eye of the storm. The second one, I think, is something that truly resonates with me. And I think the sooner people adopt this mindset, the more successful they're going to be. It's about a legacy view. It's about how you leave something better than it was previously. And it's about really making sure that you enable people around you to achieve great things. When the goal or the end goal that's in sight is not the most desirable, or we think we're not going to get there, should we give up or should we continue to go? Or how do you manage that situation? You may not get to the specific goal. As long as you go through the journey and you've learned from the journey, I think that is a success.
Really, really appreciate that view. If you're good with it, I like to go back to your squash days for a second. People think to be a 4-time Division I champion, you're just racking up and just winning easily, but it's probably a very thin margin, right? What can we all learn from that?
The two big realizations for me were, number one, self-awareness. But in the spirit of self-awareness, I would always go back and try and perfect my craft. There has to be a level of self-awareness when you're playing a team sport or an individual sport to say, I've won the game, but I could have done better. And candidly, you're competing with yourself. And then the second piece is it's really about making each other better, practicing with each other and giving each other transparent and candid feedback about what somebody could have done differently or better. And you build a level of trust with the team, which we did at Trinity College. We had a level of trust and camaraderie amongst the team that I have never seen before.
You have to go out and win. Then you have to create, and then all these players you were battling against, you have to go out and then become a team and compete against other teams. How does Trinity foster that without breaking the team apart?
The players and the coaches and the president of the university, we had a shared strategy. The strategy was to go and win national championships. It came directly from the president of the college. The squash coach fully advocated that and went and recruited the right squash players to do so. We made sure that we played great squash, and we also made sure we didn't compromise on our academic life. So there was a shared strategy. That's number one. Number two is there were shared initiatives. When we recruited these squash players, we really made sure there was a balance between the academic life, the athletic life. Number three, the third thing was it was all around shared experiences. We would travel together for these squash matches.
Yep.
We would go out for weekends together playing these squash tournaments. We would support each other. So, for example, when someone needed help with, a squash lesson, or someone needed help covering them on a shift for work, as an example, because they were very busy, the other person would help each other. So there was a sense of community amongst the team. The last thing I'll mention over there is the president of the university, the squash coach, they got out of the way. Once they assembled the team, the president let the squash coach do his job. The squash coach let his players do their job.
Like, you're, as a leader, you're sharing the why and the what, and then you're discussing the how. You're letting them come up with the plan for the how, letting them drive the how. Yeah, so good. Now, I can't let you get off this interview without talking a little bit about fiber and the future of this.
About 51% of the country here in the US is covered with fiber. We truly believe we can cover about 75% of the country with fiber, perhaps over the next 5 to 10 years, which is great for people in urban cities, of course, but then also suburban and rural parts of the country, where fiber optics, candidly, is very much desired, but hard to take it. All of that to say, the way we think about it at Fidium Fiber and Consolidated is that, and we are primarily a provider for deeply suburban/rural communities. I truly believe that our fiber optics infrastructure enables the American dream. And the reason I say that is because with our fiber business, we are taking our fiber to truly underserved parts of the country where nobody else wants to build fiber for the most part. And I think that dramatically opens up the economy for rural communities, and people or businesses in rural communities don't feel compelled that they have to go to bigger cities to get a better education or to get better access to healthcare. They can get that from where they are in communities where they love to live.
So, speaking to the leaders out there who are questioning, do I have the right infrastructure to support my employees, my vision for my company? What's the couple of point checklists that they need to be asking?
Companies in general are investing in three things: people, process, and technology. They're investing in people through culture activation or culture reactivation, revitalization in their respective companies. They're enabling people to achieve more and do more, or at least, do more smartly. Number two is they're investing in processes. And processes, that's where AI truly can come in, because through AI, you can make processes faster, easier, and smoother. And then there's a lot of automation that happens in order to, improve processes also. And then the third place where people are investing is technology. Specifically, I'm referencing your IT stack in the background.
I like the idea of fiber enabling the American dream.
I truly believe whatever your dream is, whatever your American dream is, we can enable that.
Thanks for coming on, lead the team. And I think I know I'm a tennis player. I think it's time to pick up squash. Give it a shot.
You got it. You bet, Ben.